Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our channel and our tutorial on lathe programming. CNC. Well, we've covered quite a bit about actual turning, so the programming. We've looked at some tips on chucks, some tips on machine geometries, and some general issues to try to dive a bit deeper into the topic of what is just the basic ISO programming of the lathe, which all in all we've seen isn't that complicated. When starting a lathe programming course, the first question is, will you also teach us about powered tools? And I'm a little pissed off because power tools aren't a cure-all, and they're often not the most useful thing a turner has at his disposal. They are an extra weapon that is sometimes useful and sometimes counterproductive. First of all, what they are not, let's try to see something together. They are not by any means the equivalent of a machining center. In fact, if I tell you that everything you can do on a machining center can also be done with a powered tool, that's true, but it won't be done as well. So let's start by getting an idea of what we might tackle together. At most, I'll give you some tips on programming powered tools with the C-axis. My programming experience with the C-axis in ISO is limited to Fanuc. At most, I'll give you some tips on programming powered tools with the C-axis. My programming experience with the C-axis, ISO, is limited to Fanuc. On all other occasions, I've always preferred to use conversational programming because it's more straightforward, because it has better tools than ISO, and because it was specifically developed for handling more complex shapes that milling can manage compared to turning, at least in certain aspects. First of all, let's take a look at what is a power tool. A powered tool is when I no longer have a rotating piece being worked on by a stationary tool, but rather the powered tool, as happens in milling, where I have a stationary piece being worked on by a rotating tool. This could be a drill, a tap, a candle mill, a face mill, or a cross drill. Here, the tool is the one that rotates. Now, let's start with the first limitation of powered tools compared to a machining center, which is stability and the power involved. The powered tools, like all tools, are attached to the turret on our lathe. So if this is my chuck, which is the part that rotates, I can have a powered tool, like a candle mill, mounted in this direction. Or, let's see if I have another color to differentiate. I can draw a powered tool with a candle mill mounted this way. I can put an end mill, a tap, or a drill on it. Why do I say there's a limitation? Because look at this turret. For many lathes, it's at a 1.1 scale. So what will I have here? I will have something like this inside. Okay, so this is connected to the rotating shaft. Inside my powered tool, this is screwed in, which transmits the rotational motion, a bevel gear, like this. So this is a gear, a shaft, a clutch. There must be a clutch, because if something happens, there must be a toothed pulley that takes the motion from a motor that, due to space issues, cannot have very large inputs. We are talking about lathes, and forget about the more experienced multitasking ones. Those are a different world. We are talking about lathes. This motor is the small motor that transmits motion to my powered tools. It goes without saying that even though some manufacturers have now introduced slightly more powerful motors, initially, in most cases, we were talking about motors of 3 kilowatts or 5 kilowatts and 7 kilowatts. Today, the most powerful ones I've heard of are 11 kilowatts. I wouldn't be surprised if someone writes in the comments that they have a Mazda with 15 kilowatts, because obviously every day I buy machine tools, and every day we make progress. But let's be clear. I don't know if you've ever seen the motor attached to the spindle of a lathe. Usually it's a motor with very generous dimensions. We're talking about motors with a diameter of 40, about 70 to 80 centimeters long that transmit 11 kilowatts. They certainly can't be the same 11 kilowatts transmitted by a motor that's in a child's backpack going to school. So the issue here isn't really the power itself, but the torque transmitted. That's why these power tools are not even remotely comparable to the spindles of machining centers. The same goes for the RPM. The first powered tools had 3000 RPM, and today I've found some Dosans that do 5000 RPM. I didn't have that. I had a Puma 3100, which did 5000 RPM. I don't know if we've improved in this area as well. They are making giant strides. But I remember that when I was buying my Dosandero, I went to see CMZ, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it reached 11,000 RPM. A machining center has it 30,000 RPM, with power and torque to spare. Here we don't have power and torque to spare. We even have powered tools with a variator that doubles the RPM, but it's not the same as a machining center. So it might seem like I'm just bashing these powered tools, but that's not the case. I'm simply presenting you with your limitations. When do the limitations come into play? When we have to decide how and whether to work on a part on a lathe 100%, including offset holes, or to split the two operations between a lathe and a machining center. Taking these limitations into account, we need to evaluate a couple of aspects. Every time we work on a part, let's take, for example, a round piece with a nice central hole where I need to make two flat surfaces, like a notch for a wrench, a threaded hole, like this, such as a threaded hole, like this, for example, 5 holes over here, 5 holes over there, and also a nice threaded hole here and a nice threaded hole there. Now this piece happens to have a bit of, and then for example, let's do seen from the side. It's something like this. So there is also its own share of turning, because it has to be dug out. You see, this piece puts me in a bind. Should I do it on the lathe or on the machining center? How many pieces do I have to make? I have to make 10. I can't set up 2 machines for that. I'll do it all on the lathe, using our very important powered tools. Why? Because since I only have 10 pieces to make, I don't want to create a clamping system, handle it twice, and move it from one machine to another, or use a machine that can do everything. Since I only have 10 parts to make, I'll do it all on the machining center and the lathe with powered tools. Moreover, with the C-axis, I'm more than self-sufficient. If I had to make 10,000 every month, things would change. I wouldn't do it on the lathe anymore unless I had a lathe with a robot. Then things change because I could run it on 3 shifts. So these are all the evaluations to make. But I don't have a lathe with a robot. I simply have 2 workers, one on a lathe and one on the machining center. How long does it take me on the lathe to do all these operations, having, for example, only 7 kilowatts and 5,000 RPM? It takes me 5 minutes. We're talking about milling work. I take it to the machining center where I have 30,000 RPM. I can use the best milling tools, drills, and taps available on the market. It takes me 2 minutes. Do I need to explain it to you? I have to say, the answer is obvious. This piece in front of a huge amount of work needs to be divided between a lathe and a machining center. That's where the choices come in. So you see, it's not that I want to belittle. Powered tools should be used with awareness and caution. With the head axis, I can do pretty much whatever I want. I can use my powered tools like a drill or a screwdriver to make a hole here, a hole there, and so on and so forth. I can create a hexagon by removing material here, because if I do it here, it will remain as a milling radius. I can also create a pocket like this, but please be careful. There are no macros, at least, on Fanuc systems, so I'll stick to my experience. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there are no macros in the sense that if I outline my entire pocket with a mill, I then have to empty it out bit by bit. So I need to create an ISO program that's as long as the entire world. That's why I told you right away that I usually use conversational programming. If I use a conversational system like those advanced CAD cams integrated into CNCs, manual guides for Fanuc ShopTurn, it still works. Each unique system has its own quirks and features. Aiden has his, Urko has his, and Mazatrona is the queen of conversational programming, so I define the profile and then simply state whether it's a pocket or a convex shape, and it takes care of the rest. So, the limitation of ISO programming when it comes to powered tools is the difficulty in managing complex profiles. As long as we're just making a hole, a notch, or a central notch, there aren't any major issues. But when we start thinking about pockets, it gets a bit trickier, and that's where I prefer to use conversational programming. If we have a lathe with a C-axis at the front of the piece, we can do whatever we want radially. We can only work along the axis. We can never make a hole like that. For that, you need the Y-axis. That's a type of programming I won't explain, because I've never done it in my life. You explain things when you know how to do them, not when you're struggling. Basically, it involves adding some codes that allow you to manage the Y-axis. So, if you find yourself in front of machines with a Y-axis, don't be scared. It's just a matter of picking up the manual and reading those few tips that will help you implement the third axis. It's nothing difficult. You'll see if we do some programming with the C-axis. In the end, they are still axes that interpose between each other. Well, this video, in my opinion, was essential to put you in front of the advantages and disadvantages of motorized tools. Now I will evaluate whether to continue with this tutorial by looking at the ISO programming of the C-axis. But basically, if I decide to go down that path, you'll see that it doesn't change much. The cycles are pretty much the same as what I explained in turning, because fundamentally there's drilling, tapping, and contouring. Nothing absolutely difficult if you followed the 2-axis programming well, you're already capable of doing 3-axis programming with a manual. We need to use M35 to activate powered tools, and on some machines, M33 instead of M3 for the spindle, or M4. M4 activates the lathe spindle, and M34 rotates powered tools. On modern Fanuc machines, M4P11 activates the spindle, and M4P12 activates powered tools. The main difference is using G112-113 commands for Cartesian axes. Viewing from the front, but this is not a problem. On more modern Fanuc CNC machines, the command M4P11 is once again utilized to activate the lathe spindle, while the command M4P12 is specifically used to activate the motorized tools, which are essential for various machining operations. The main difference is that we will compare some G112-113 commands to work according to the Cartesian axes, looking at the piece from the front rather than in a different way, but I assure you that this is absolutely not a problem. Well, I hope that these two chats, more like friends at a bar than a formal course, have sparked your interest. And if we don't see each other next time, I want to remind you that there's already a whole series of tutorials on my channel focused specifically on Fanuc regarding programming powered tools. These tutorials are not done on a blackboard, but all on the simulator, and cover a lot of topics. However, my mind is already churning something, so I think we will see each other again soon. Bye everyone, have a great day, and thanks for being with me.